There are films that seduce, there are films that shock, and then there are films that haunt you like a forbidden dream you weren't supposed to see. In the mid-1970s, at a time when European cinema was breaking every sexual taboo on screen, one French film went further than all the rest. It wore the trappings of a gothic period drama, played with the iconography of fairy tales, and then unleashed a vision of desire so taboo that customs agents seized prints and critics whispered about it like a rumor. This is the beast Walerian Borowczyk's 1975 film that dared to merge myth, aristocratic decay, and surreal eroticism into a single fever dream. Nearly 50 years later, its infamous beast sequence still provokes gasps, memes, and debates about art versus obscenity. If you think you know banned cinema, think again. In the early to mid-70s, censorship was crumbling. Last Tango in Paris had scandalized audiences. Emmanuel had made soft-core eroticism chic. But there was still a line no one crossed. Animalistic sexuality, unsimulated acts, and the merging of pornography with high art. Borowczyk, a Polish-born animator turned French art house director, had already angered censors with immoral tales. With La Bête, he went for something even stranger, not just a dirty movie, but a meditation on repression, myth, and female desire. Walerian Borowczyk, known as a poet of the perverse, he designed the beast like a painting come to life. Serpa Lane, cast as Lucy Broadhurst, the naive heiress whose fantasies anchor the film. Her performance swings between innocence, curiosity, and feverish abandon. Guy Trejon, Elizabeth Casa, Lisette Malador. Supporting actors embodying the decaying nobility, their dialogue full of veiled references to the family curse. Cinematography by Bernard Delincourt. Candlelit rooms, overgrown gardens, dreamlike forests. Score. Baroque music alternates with unsettling silences, making even the explicit scenes feel ritualistic rather than pornographic. Everything about the production was crafted to look like art cinema rather than a grindhouse shocker, which made the explicit content even more disorienting. Businessman Philip Broadhurst dies and leaves his estate to his daughter, Lucy, on the condition that she marries Mathurin, Marquis Pierre de l'Espérance's son, within 6 months. She is to be married by Cardinal Joseph de Ballot, the brother of Pierre's uncle, the crippled Duke Ramendelo de Ballot, who shares their crumbling farmhouse with Pierre's daughter Clarice and their servant Iphigenie. Mathurin, who manages the family horse breeding business, is dim-witted and deformed and has never been baptized. Pierre summons the local priest to the house for the baptism, but Pierre, by promising the priest repairs to his church and a new bell, performs the ritual himself so that the priest will not find out the truth about Mathurin. Lucy and her Aunt Virginia are driven by their chauffeur toward the farm, but a fallen tree blocks their way. They find a back route to the house at a back door to the house, where Lucy asks Ramondello about rumors. Ramondello, who is not in favor of the marriage because he is dependent on Mathurin to look after him, shows her a book that describes the beautiful Romilda's fight with a beast in the local forest 200 years ago. Lucy comes across several drawings depicting bestiality and becomes sexually excited at the thought of her impending marriage, even though she has never met Mathurin. Pierre blackmails Ramondello into persuading his brother to perform the marriage by telling him that he has proof that Ramondello poisoned his wife. Ramondello cannot get through to the cardinal on the telephone, so Pierre sends a telegram assuring him that Mathurin has been baptized and urging him to attend this evening. Everyone assembles for dinner, and Mathurin's uncouth manners become apparent. Lucy and her aunt try to leave, but are persuaded to stay. With everyone having drunk too much wine, most of the assembly falls asleep while waiting for the cardinal. Lucy retires to her room, undresses, puts on her thin wedding dress, and dreams that she is Romilda, playing the harpsichord. Seeing a lamb straying into the forest, she chases after it to find that it has been torn apart by a black hairy beast. Pierre overhears Ramondello on the telephone, with the cardinal trying to dissuade him from performing the marriage. Angrily interrupting the conversation, Pierre slits Ramendelo's throat with a razor and tears the phone out of the wall. In the ensuing comic dream sequence, the beast with a large visible erection chases Lucy through the forest. She loses most of her clothing in the process and ends up hanging by her arms from a branch, and the beast sexually assaults her and masturbates. Lucy wakes up in a sweat and wonders if it was merely a dream. She tiptoes to Matherin's room, but he is asleep, fully clothed, on his bed. Lucy returns to her room, masturbates, and dreams that the beast is copulating with her. She wakes again and is convinced that Matherin must have visited her. She visits his room again, but he is still sleeping soundly. Lucy returns to her dream. The beast continues to masturbate, and Lucy rubs his ejaculate all over herself. Eventually, the beast dies of exhaustion. Lucy wakes and walks into Matherin's room to find him dead on the floor. She runs naked through the house, screaming, and everyone runs to her aid. Virginia examines Matherin's body and discovers that a plaster cast on his arm conceals a claw for a hand. Pulling his clothes off reveals that he is covered in thick black hair and has a tail, indicating that he is a descendant of Romilda and the beast. They run out of the house in terror as the cardinal arrives. Virginia comforts the terrified Lucy as they speed away in the car, and Lucy dreams that she is naked in the forest again, this time bearing the beast. Even in the permissive 1970s, the beast went too far. Censors were prepared for nudity, even for hardcore sex, but not for the sustained imagery of interspecies desire. Although the beast was an actor in a costume, the unsimulated sexual motions were enough to trigger obscenity laws. Britain refused a certificate for decades. VHS tapes seized at customs during the video nasties panic. United States, shown only in underground theaters under threat of prosecution. France, forced cuts and legal challenges even in its home country. This wasn't a grindhouse cheapie they could ignore. It was an art film from a respected director, which made it harder to categorize and easier to demonize. Critics were divided. Some condemned it as pornography with a French accent. Others hailed it as a surreal allegory of repression and desire. Feminist voices split, with some seeing Lucy's fantasies as empowering, others as degrading. Underground audiences, however, embraced it as a dare. Midnight screenings packed with people whispering, "Wait for the beast scene." The film became part of the mythology of forbidden cinema. For a generation of cinephiles, owning a bootleg of La Bête was a badge of honor, proof you'd seen something beyond mainstream limits. Today, the beast has been restored and released by boutique labels with scholarly commentary. No longer contraband, it's studied as a key work of erotic art cinema, a film that explores the intersection of myth, desire, and taboo, rather than just trying to shock. Yet its power endures. Modern viewers raised on explicit internet content still find themselves unsettled by its slow, ritualistic intensity. It stands alongside Salo, Caligula, in the realm of the senses in a Serbian film as one of the outer markers of what cinema can depict. In the history of banned and censored films, The Beast is both a cautionary tale and a milestone. Half a century on, The Beast still raises a question no censor has ever been able to answer. When does art stop being art and become something forbidden? Whether you see it as a surreal masterpiece, a grotesque provocation, or both, it's a film you don't forget once you've seen it. Have you watched it? What do you think it says about the power of taboo in cinema? Share your thoughts below. And if you're fascinated by banned, censored, and controversial films, subscribe for more deep dives into the shadowy corners of film history.